Recovery from porn and masturbation addiction can take years. Sadly, some people never fully recover from the damages that excessive porn watching and masturbation has done to their dopamine pathways. But as much as it takes your body a long time to heal, I'm here to tell you that you can actually speed up your recovery from porn and masturbation addiction. Does this claim seem far-fetched to you? Well, watch this video to the very end, and I assure you that you'll find out for yourself that you can actually fast-track your recovery on NoFap. But before we get into it, I want to implore you to subscribe to this channel. I drop these informative videos every week. And while you're at it, turn on the notification button so you get notified when there's a new video. Through personal experimentation, I've found that there is a certain habit that speeds up my NoFap reboot in a dramatic way. What I've also found is that this habit has been scientifically proven over and over again to work in speeding up the dopamine recovery of anyone that practices it. And this habit is something called dopamine fasting. It's unanimous in the scientific communities that dopamine is integral to behavioral compulsive addictions. Behavioral addiction researchers have shown that the promise of a reward from dopamine drives addiction in a similar way to the brain's learning and memory functions. And over the years of excessive porn watching, your brain's been getting unhealthy and unearned levels of dopamine into your brain. As a direct consequence, your brains become desensitized to natural dopamine sources, like having regular sex, building a boring long-term relationship with someone, studying hard for long hours to get an A in school, simply enjoying a walk in nature, just being by yourself while listening to a good music, building a business from scratch, and just sitting through the boring stuffs that eventually make life fun and interesting. So, the main goal of a NoFap reboot is to rewire your dopamine pathway. Rewiring your dopamine pathway simply means to stop giving your brain the unhealthy and unearned dopamine rush from porn so as to increase your dopamine sensitivity. But it isn't only porn that numbs dopamine sensitivity, and here's where most people's reboot hits a snag. There are other habits that you do daily that flood your brain with this crazy level of dopamine. And chances are that if your brain's dopamine pathway is already messed up from porn, you're likely actively seeking these other sources of unhealthy and addictive dopamine while you are on NoFap. So, going on a dopamine fast by stopping these other habits, or at least reducing the number of times you do them, will automatically speed up your dopamine pathway recovery. In the NoFap forums, this type of rebooting is usually referred to as the monk mode of NoFap. And this mode is the most potent mode of a NoFap reboot you can do. So here are the most common unnatural, unearned dopamine sources that you need to either stop doing or reduce the number of times you do them when you are on NoFap. 1. Edging yourself on NoFap. Edging yourself to porn and masturbation is doing one or both of those things and stopping just before you orgasm. A lot of people do this on NoFap, and nothing kills recovery mode more than this habit. What you might not know about edging is that it also floods your brain with the dopamine you're trying to avoid with NoFap. And even worse, it drags out the experience. And this makes your withdrawal symptoms much longer, makes your flatline period last longer. You experience more boredom, you're more lazy, you're more depressed, and you seem to not enjoy any of the NoFap benefits at all. If you think about it, edging defeats the purpose of rebooting. So, to speed up your recovery on NoFap, don't edge. And if you're already doing it, stop it. 2. Excessive video gaming. In 2013, the American Psychiatric Association recognized internet and video gaming as a potential addictive disorder when they officially added it to their diagnostic and statistical manual. In 2015, a review of the neuroscience of internet pornography addiction, published in the Journal of Behavioral Science, made a strong case for adding internet pornography to the same diagnostic manual. The study made this claim because it found that dopamine is an underlying predictor of both porn and video game addiction patterns. So, if you're a hardcore gamer and you want your recovery on NoFap to be faster, you should seriously consider reducing your gaming time or stopping it altogether when you're on NoFap. 3. Excessive social media usage. Social media platforms are filled with highly stimulating contents that spike dopamine levels unnaturally. What you ultimately need to stay away from on social media when you're on NoFap are half-naked models and extremely shocking contents. When you're on NoFap, if you can't totally avoid using social media, you can at least curate your feed to make it healthy for you. You can follow educational contents or people that promote the habits you want to build. Habits like wealth creation, getting in shape, meditation, or listening to educational podcasts or audiobooks. 4. Consuming too much sugar. In a 2005 study, researchers found that binging on sugar repeatedly releases dopamine in the nucleus accumbens, which is similar to how dopamine is secreted in other drugs of abuse, including porn. So this makes reducing or cutting off food that are high in sugar important for the recovery of your dopamine pathways when you're on NoFap. With this, we've come to the end of this video. You should know that dopamine fasting isn't the only way you can speed up your recovery on NoFap. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss it when I release the video that talks about other ways you can speed up your recovery on NoFap. Thanks for watching, I really appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next video.